So today we have with us Leene Künnap of Placeholder Gameworks. Uh, I've only played Death and Taxes from them. Uh, like I mentioned, I like the colorful character design and the trolley problem-esque storytelling device of the whole game. I don't know. I guess I don't have anything else to say.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, I'm Leene and I studied in Tartu Kõrgem Kunstikool. I studied media and advertisement design. It was called back then. I think it's just media design now. So a lot of art basics, a lot of graphic design, also like audio design, writing, 3D advertisement psychology and other stuff like that. So all of that really played into my knowledge, my overall. And we never talked about video games in those things, but I was very interested in video games myself. So basically I have my story is growing from a artist to a now CEO running a company with like 25 people working on 2 games currently, being a art director, creative lead, and still being able to sometimes keep keep a hand in the art itself as well. I don't want to just let everybody do their work for this. It is hard. There's a lot of hats I need to wear, and I could talk about all of this forever. And there's so much things, different ways I could talk about it. But usually, I think it's the most interesting thing is to get the personal story, I guess. But I can look at it through the lens of either marketing, building a team, being an artist overall, or just surviving in this nowadays, basically. And or I could also talk about it through the lens of the more like the games themselves. So do you guys have any preference towards what would you like to what angle would you like me to talk about this?
Maybe you can from like how you end up to start and developing your games. Maybe you can start
Okay.
from the first ones, and
Yeah.
if there is some specific topics or things that you would like to talk about during it, like you can.
Okay.
Basically, you are not limited with time. Maybe a frame of 45 minutes, an hour. If you want it shorter, it can be as well, and then maybe it can be completed with questions.
Okay.
So it's up to you.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, like I said, I can talk about it forever, but let's talk about some interesting stuff. So I started in my school, and one day I looked at the wall in my school, and there was a poster up on the wall, and that poster said, "APT Game Generator, we do game jams. Come and jam with me. It's like a hackathon, but you can make video games, and do you have skills for programming, digital arts or something?" And I was like, I can do this digital arts and I love video games. That was then 2015, I think. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. Like that's so cool. I always wanted to become a either comic artist, illustrator or something like that. But then I was like, oh, I need to actually like make money and survive, I guess. So I went to media design instead. that was my background, and then I found a lovely community full of very creative people, a lot of nerds that I really felt at home with, and I started taking part of game jams. Game jams are really good because you learn, you meet a lot of people and you can get inspired by them. It's all about the community. There's some game jams going on in Estonia all the time as well. So it's like, or in other places online as well. So yeah, I think it's a good place to start for everybody because you get to know other people. The industry is really hard currently to get into as a artist overall. So finding a job as like beginner artist is like almost impossible, unfortunately. But what is more possible is putting a team together with your friends or with the people you have met, basically. So and make your own thing from that. For me, I started going to those game jams and I got really competitive and I learned a lot because I really wanted to make people have a lot of fun with the games that we are making. And I learned that only things that matter is what the player sees. How you build the game, what is your thought process, everything, like what, like player doesn't always see that. You have to be very good at presenting something to a person or looking at a thing from somebody else's eyes and through somebody else's lenses, basically. And this is the biggest thing that I learned from game jams, like starting a game and then having a very short, very simple intro in a comic style or something like that. It's such a good idea because then you aren't just putting person into, look, this is a game, play it, but it's like, this is a situation, you are this character. And it is such a setup for any game. I think that helps so much to get into it. So even if it's a small game jam game, then making this makes it much easier for people to enjoy the game. So those were the biggest things I learned. And then I joined one of the teams that was making a game called Tribocalypse. That was the first like zero budget game. Just people were doing it on their free time after school or something. I was still studying, and I was doing 2D art for it. And then I saw how working in a team works. Like I got some good ideas and some like ideas what you shouldn't do, basically, when you put together your own team. And I got really obsessed with game development. I was like, now game development is my personality. All my friends are game developers. I think about game development all the time. I watch every GDC talk I could get my hands on and learn from it. I wrote everything down and I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn from other people's like experiences. I will write these things down, they say, basically, and then I'm gonna put them all together and I'm gonna follow that. And then I was like, okay, our game didn't, the Tribocalypse didn't do that well. Then I was like, I want to make my own project. And while studying still, I started the game Death and Taxes, which now has done super well and has sold over 500,000 copies on Steam, like 500,000, and on other platforms, on Switch, on PlayStation, and now it's gonna go on Xbox as well. Some more copies, and like it has been very great for me in a lot of ways. But yeah, that's jumping forward a bit because what I did was I wanted to make that project. And the first thing that I needed to do with the game Death and Taxes was, okay, I need to first, I believe in this. I wrote down all the, not only what this is artistically and what I want it to be design-wise, but also who's the target audience, and how am I going to market this? Because as an indie developer who is completely independent, doesn't have a publisher or any money backing them, it's really hard to get visibility. It's one of the biggest problems. You might make a really good game, but actually selling it on virtual markets is hard. And how do I make it something that is very marketable? So yeah, maybe I should show the trailer of the game itself as well, for everybody to know exactly what I'm talking about in Death and Taxes as well.
You are the Grim Reaper. You are Death. Welcome to your new job as Grim Reaper number 101. So, obviously, you've been assigned with picking humans who have to die. Pretty standard stuff. You can choose the ones you save, and the ones you can't. And your actions will have consequences. Please try to follow the rules, otherwise I have to fire you. And try not to burn the world down. So, everything clear?
Okay, so that was the trailer for the game, and I had an idea that I really want to make my own game, and it needs to be something that is marketable. So I watched on YouTube a lot of very quirky indie games that brought my attention, and I played a lot of them. But the idea was that I saw that a lot of content creators play these quirky type of video games. So I took something old, like people call these games, no, not people, but one journalist called games like this Tinder likes, and I really like that because there's a option like yes or no, basically. So that's the main like thing that you do in the game is question yes or no, basically. So design wise, the game is super simple. You just choose if a person lives or dies. The topic is very controversial, so that makes it quite marketable. Also, it can be funny and dark at the same time, very strong emotions. I am also making a lot of contrasts in the game. There's a lot of grays, a lot of like darks, and also at the same time, there's very vibrant, bold colors in there. So everything in that game is built up on contrasts and getting your attention, and also it is very replayable and also playable by different content creators because the choices matter. So let's say a YouTuber or Twitch streamer is like, I wonder what game I should play, and then they hear about this game, they're like, "You're a Grim Reaper, an office job. That sounds very crazy. I wonder, like, I'm gonna try it out." And then they play it, and then they make the most dumb decisions ever, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, I can play this so much better." Like, and then they go get the game and play it, and then they see that, oh, actually it has a lot of depth. There's a lot of people who have sent fan art or letters saying that the game has changed their life a bit. It's made them think more, made them laugh in like in a like they haven't laughed for a long time, or made them deal with death better. And like every time I get something like that, I'm like, oh my god, this is the best. this is the best thing ever. I really love making games because it is an art form that people actively partake in. You can go to I mean, books are quite good as well because you have to keep your attention, right, to read a book. But you can look at the visual image and be like, okay, whatever, kind of, and in a gallery, walk by it and not think about it. But the game forces you to consume it very actively. You are one part of it. You are telling the story inside of a game. So that's what I really love about it. And you can have such a social impact with video games. And I don't know, I was very overwhelmed with all of it. So that was super great. Yeah, and so a lot of visibility because of the visual design, about the theming. So I started thinking about marketing right away as well, and something I wanted to do. So how I decided to make this game was I did go to marketplace a lot, and I am the target audience for it, so to speak. I am the person who loves these kind of games, and I was wishing that there would be more of it. So if you feel like, oh, I wish there was more of this, then make it, create this. And there are so many people like you that will be um, um, a lot of game developers want to make something that is something they already like, but it kind of exists already. So I feel like it's a better idea to make something that's yeah. Anyways, I felt very strongly about this idea. Then the first thing I needed to do was to sell it to other people, the team members first. So if I can't, if I don't believe in this, how am I gonna make anybody else believe in this? I was super lucky to get a lot of people, like 8 people in total, on board. People who I had worked together on Tribocalypse before, people who have met on game jams, people who I met later on different events or online when I was like posting, hey, does anybody want to join? And all of them joined without getting any money. Uh, I promised revenue share for everybody, but I had a solid plan. I showed, hey, this is how we're making it. Look, I know what I'm doing. This game will come out over my dead body. I believe in this, basically. So it's and why it's important and all that. So if you are able to make other people believe that they can work on a passion project for you for no money, then I mean, I was very lucky for like people being super nice and all that. Also, it was the time when Disco Elysium team broke apart basically, and I basically scavenged some of those people into my team. Our lead writer and our tech lead were like smaller writer on Disco Elysium and also a programmer on Disco Elysium. So yeah, if a bigger team, yeah, getting team members also from like AAA where people are just hating things, how they are set up, and then they want to do indie but they don't have their own idea yet or something, then you can get those people on board as well. So yeah, believe in yourself first, then make others believe in you, and then make the wider audience believe in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like that. The game and book comparison reminded me how much Disco Elysium has been compared to a book. Like, it's one of the best rated games of all time. And some people go in expecting like action and come away saying, this is a book, as if that's a bad thing.
hmm
No.
Yeah, there are games in different genres, and the games like Death and Taxes is also very story rich and text heavy, and there's a lot of reading, so it's not for everybody. I remember somebody was telling me, hey, send this game into what was it, Golden Lion or something, one of the YouTubers and or streamers, and like they were like, oh, you will like it, I'm sure. And I sent it to him and he made a video and he hated it. He was like, oh god, reading, skip, 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 oh god, like where's can I shoot somebody, kind of. But it was good because there was people were extra like extra unhappy about it. There's different games for everybody, and having like story heavy. I think the problem with Disco Elysium was that it got into such a wide audience that that everybody was expecting more strategy and more stuff like that, because it was just such a wide audience that it got to. If you're making a game you don't have to make everybody happy. Like that's what AAA or big companies basically do. They try to make games that make everybody kinda happy, and then they come up with like these very boring kind of toned down, kind of rounded things that don't say anything or are not very interesting or different from each other, basically. So a lot of the times this happens. So yeah, we did quite well with this game, and now we were like, okay, we have money now actually to get more games on the way, and now we're working on 2 more games, and one of them is our tech leads, so to call baby, and the other one is my baby, in the same way as Death and Taxes was. And we are doing, if we wanted to do like wanted to be very just I don't know. If we wanted to do this for money, we should have done Death and Taxes 2 or done more updates for Death and Taxes, or we should have made something in the exact same genre and style and all that. But I get bored. I want to do new things. I want to do bigger and cooler and newer things. So it's like we completely changed what we are making. Still, some things, choices matter, story heavy. That's still true, but yeah, we just want to make our dreams come true even more. I personally feel like I need to dream bigger because my dreams are coming true one by one. It's a problem. Anyways, it's I'm quite happy, but at the same time, I'm quite stressed because there are growing problems, of course, because if you grow in the middle of a project, add more people to the team, there's more responsibility, and it's not as easy, it's getting harder and harder in some ways. Like adding more people to the team, thinking, oh, we need a person handling all the sound effects because we did it ourselves, but now we don't have time for that. Now we need a person to do the visual effects. Now we need another pixel artist. Now we need another, I don't know, different things. So, but growing it too big is not a good idea either, basically. But yeah, we completely self-published. If you're into marketing, then I totally am, because I like to make marketing part of the art itself, and because we're a small company and we don't have a publisher, we can do whatever the heck we want. So we can post whatever we want on the internet and have a lot of fun with it, and nobody's gonna say no. With Death and Taxes, I did have some people on the way that were not believing in the project. We applied for a competition in Finland, and there was people in the jury that were saying that it doesn't have much gameplay. It's not a game. It should not be on Steam. It should be banned from this contest. And then there were other people who were saying, "Oh, I love this. This is great. It should get the first place." So in the end, we got the third place in that one. But yeah, it was just. But you need to, even if you have haters, so to speak, you need to let that fuel you instead of keeping you back. Another obstacle on my way was, so I wanted to do this as a, I did do this as a my end project, my thesis in Tartu Kunstikool, Kõrgem Kunstikool, and yeah, it was they didn't want me to do it at first when I showed them the idea, because at that time it was very controversial. The whole idea in euthanasia was very like, they were saying things like, hey, you shouldn't be able to choose who lives or dies. That is very you know, something that, I don't know, Nazis would do, or it's not a good idea, like, at all, and you should make it something that is like, I don't know, firing people instead, or than killing them or something. And I was like, no. And then I had to even talk to the headmaster myself, have a one-on-one talk, and they gave me a book on ethics and said, you have to have an ethics professor, and you have to write 1/3 of the thing about ethics. And I was like, I'm happy with this. I'm like, this game is already about ethics and the trolley problem and everything. I'm very happy. Okay, let's do this. Let's get they assigned me an ethics professor, and I showed it to him, and he was like, that's great. I love it. No comments, basically. Um, so in the end, after a lot of like fighting for it, they were like, okay, you can make this. And I made the final thesis, and it got straight A's. No comments. Everybody was super happy with it. So it's like, in a moment when somebody's like doubting you or really thinking that the thing that you're doing is wrong, is like, but I feel like if you're doing something that nobody thinks that is wrong, maybe it's not anything that is worth putting out there in some ways, because it's good to make something that makes you matters. It's better to matter with things than to just make something super safe and tag along, and that's something for big companies, and we're not gonna try and compete with them. If we're gonna try to make it in the virtual market, then we're gonna have to make something new and unique, basically. Yeah. So any questions now?
The mention of APT game generator reminded me that they also hosted the jam voting for last week's Talltech Game Jam. Oh, we had mentors in that game jam, and we actually had Oak Warrior as our mentor, and he was very helpful, which was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's the other half of this company, basically. He's the tech lead, and I'm the creative and art lead, basically, for this. And we are the like core of the team. And yeah, and then rest of the team members are mostly doing their own things like programming and all that. So we are dealing with everything from management to production as well. ourselves.
Oh, what about the engine for Death and Taxes? I haven't heard about that. Like, what was
Yeah,
used there?
Death and Taxes was made on Unity, but we are kind of abandoning Unity because of different political reasons and things that overall. So it's currently we're moving, or we have our projects on Godot. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I heard they were like monetizing like aggressively recently or something.
Yeah, exactly. They were doing things like they were planning to monetize per install, and then thinking about games like ours, we also gave away a lot of free copies, um, for charity. I didn't count those into the sales that we have, but we have given like hundreds of thousands of copies for charity reasons where we don't get the cent from it. But Unity was like, oh, we're gonna change the per install, and then it's like, well, if you give away your free copies of your game, then they were gonna, you're gonna pay for it on top of it, even if it's for charity. But they realized that there was a lot of issues with it, so they did not do it in the end. But they gave still quite a bad options after it. It's nothing that's gonna touch us right now, but everybody going forward now with the new projects, basically. So luckily they changed the situation. So because it's a bit illegal to have a monetization way, and then from back of the time, basically like, oh, well, now we're gonna start taking money from all of that. So they realized that they did a mistake with that. So, but anyways, it's better to do something on a open resource that's not costing anything anyways, like Godot is.
I have a question.
Yes.
What was the inspiration for the name and the art style?
Yeah, good question. So I wanted to have death for sure in the title, but the name itself, I wrote a vlog actually somewhere. I think it's on itch.io Death and Taxes page. There's a blog about how to name your indie game, and I came up with like 8 rules or something to what it should be. And the main reason why it's called Death and Taxes, it's something that I think Winston Churchill or something said in that nothing in life is more sure than death and taxes, and that is a saying a lot of people in the U.S. have heard. So using that and using something that people have heard about already when they first see the title, if it's something that's familiar to them, then mm, then they will basically skip the step when they look at something and they're like, oh, I have no idea what this is. But then they're like, oh, I have heard about this. So it's a good idea to do something like that. The other reason for the name itself was there's different things. It's 2 words. It looks balanced on a logo. Taxes because paperwork. Also, the saying means about like some people got it right away when I said that it's called death and taxes. That, oh, so it's about like you can. It basically makes you deal with the topic of death and then show that it needs to be a part of life in a way. There's different visions on it there. Um, so yeah, it was all made. Oh yeah, I didn't even tell like the actual reason behind I wanted this game to be a thing. It was because when I was 10, my mother died, and in a Western society, people don't talk about these topics a lot, you know. And now a lot of people have researched this and seen that talking about death in whatever form, even if it's jokes, makes people actually calm down and feel better about those topics. Because we have a culture in, like, there's other cultures, like in Mexican culture, it's like life is celebrated in a way of talking about death as well. But in our culture, which comes very deeply from Christian roots with the silence and wearing black, and you know, um, it's turns out it's not healthy. And nobody talked to me when I was like a child about it ever again. And then the only place I could like get information about it was either Terry Pratchett books, where there's a positive representation of the Grim Reaper. Also, there's a positive representation of the Grim Reaper in some cartoons, like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and other cartoons like that. And I always thought that, why does death need to be like such a negative character? And that was where I was also thinking, we need more media about the Grim Reaper. And then I was like, oh my God, a video game. You are gonna be the Grim Reaper. Like, that's yeah, that's something to be done. And at the time, the game Papers, Please was coming out as well, so the mechanics itself is inspired a bit from Papers, Please. So I was like, yeah, you could have a Grim Reaper do the paperwork instead of more personal thing. There would be some other social commentaries in there as well. And anyways, yeah, I went on a whole tangent about this now, but yeah, that was the reason. I wanted to give back, basically, for people to get some stuff about Grim Reaper. And about coming back to the title and the logo, or art inspiration. I love comic books, and I love the colors that they use on the older ones. When printed, they might use only like few colors, and I was really wanted to have everything. You can see the poster in the background as well. Have like black and white, and then just pops of some colors, and then I just decided which colors they should be, and settled on, because if I would have only like yellow, then that would be too like, or red, and it would be like too Sin City kind of. I wanted blue as well, to have the triad of colors in there, and also to, yeah, to have only three hues, basically red, like light blue, and yellow in there, and everything else is black and white always. And that actually made some characters look very interesting, because there's the main, your boss has the Fate, has a yellow bow tie, for example, and everything around him is yellow, and he makes death out of lemons, like when life gives you lemons, kind of a thing. So it's yellow is that character, and Grim Reaper is all about red, and so color coding characters, the main characters after that, this gives a very strong personality to them. I feel like adding restrictions adds so much, like, actually creativity to things. And making a game is, it was so easy because of it, because it's black and white. You don't have to think which color this is gonna be, because it can be one of these colors. You don't have it makes making the art so much faster. The other thing that we did in the game was, because our concept artist is so good at drawing with pencil, I took all of his pencil drawings, I just automatically vectorized them, and then didn't even overdraw it or something, and then colorized them myself. So us two were the artists on all of it, basically. Yeah, so having that love for like different things, like the old newspaper comics, or just comics overall, their limited colors. Also the like Art Deco style of it, the whole office is very old timey because it has been there forever, but at the same time they're also using these depressing things like fax machines and stuff that are still outdated. There's smartphones, there's fax machines, and then the whole building is in a very old timey way set up, and everybody's in suits and all that. So it's like a fantasy world that is quite a tiny fantasy world inside of the real world, in a way that everything that is the magical part happens inside of the headquarters. Yeah, I guess I answered that question now very deeply. Yeah, another question I see.
Yes, so I don't know if it's a question, but you mentioned briefly that once you show the game, I don't know to what person who told you that, oh, it's a Tinder-like game, and that probably you mentioned it like a bit sarcastically.
I like that. It was in a
Yes.
journalist.
I-
Yeah,
I was it was a journalist. I think it's interesting. It reminds me actually. Couple of years ago, someone was telling me about a magazine that he showed me. I forgot, unfortunately, like where it was. It was an interview of Charlie Brooker, that maybe you know is the director of Black Mirror. Maybe you know that serial, yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which is
Yeah,
actually
that-
interesting because he made as well like one special episode or two special episodes that are actually interactive episode where you can choose the branch that so like there is with several ending, which I think somehow like it's very dramatic and critical aspect from our contemporary societies. But interesting to know as well that Charlie Brooker is originally a video game critic journalist back in times during probably the 90s, and he was so in this magazine, every people invited for the interview, they are invited to make their top 10 video games top 10. And it was funny that in the top 10, on the top one, he put Twitter.
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
So I think it's interesting in a way that, well, I'm thinking about that things as well, that that in terms of gamification of our lives, and it's like yes, like it's interesting to think such aspect that of course it's only a social media platform, but as well like it could be we can start to consider this like as if it was a game. Okay, so first remark. The other one is as the game is very death and taxes make me think very much Paper Please, that games that I already mentioned to the students maybe at the beginning of this course. I don't know if you are familiar to this game. I don't know, Zen, Mario.
Of course, it was. Oh yeah, for me. I mean, we were very inspired by that game as well for the idea that it works. But there's a lot of things different. For example, you don't have a time. Yeah, you don't have a time like kind of pressure at all. So this game does not make you. Also, it doesn't make you at all like look into all of the information and compare it. It's more about, it's very open-ended, and it makes you like, it looks on top basically very similar. It's like yes or no on a paper, but the thing is this is more like philosophical, makes you think, and it doesn't pressure you, and it's very chill game, whereas the other one is very harsh game. So yeah. Anything else you wanted to say about that? Or
Me?
yeah.
No, not much. Thank
Okay.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Tinder-like thing, it was just like somebody mentioned it because it's like the dual option. I found it hilarious, and I started using it as well because
Yes, but it looks
people
like
always like love
yes.
that.
It's funny that I don't know if it's a neologism or if it was a joke at the moment, but it would be so funny that that it would become a kind of game classification for real. I don't know if it's currently used or not.
Not
But
much by me though, but I'm trying to make it a thing.
good idea. Let's
It's
spread
easy
it.
one. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's Papers, Please was a big inspiration for this one, and it's always important to make something that like have something new, but also have something that people can still grab onto. You can make something really, really artsy and really crazy, but you should have something that people can like relate to, maybe a similar game or like some conventions, and that will make it, if you have some sort of structure in there, then it's gonna make it so much more enjoyable. Because if they only like, I mean, you can totally make a game which is all about confusion and then like, but people, are they gonna have a good time playing it? They might be like kind of like, what is, I don't even, what's this, I don't understand this. So giving a good like, oh, this is like Papers, Please, but with a Grim Reaper. They know what a Grim Reaper is. They know what Papers, Please is. Usually, it was quite big game. So putting those together and making something completely new, then they have some sort of vision that they can grasp onto, even though the final product is much more than that.
Maybe another remark, like we months ago. So it's interesting that the thing of the in the situation of indie games as well. We tried, or we don't have enough time, unfortunately, with this course. So I hope that next semester we will be able to, or the students will be able to keep going with this platform of invitations. But I try like to focus as much as possible on this aspect to to this dialogue between artists developing, like having art practices and developing in the field of fine arts as well, works that are like maybe more close to interactive design, that would be included as well, inspired a lot from video games, and video games, which is as well like another form of interactive design. So I try to put these dialogues together, and we received months ago. So Samuel Leikoinen. So the video was put online on the YouTube channel thanks to Mario. So he developed. So he's a painter, and aside he's developing, he's interested by indie games, and he developed an unemployment simulator. And I think would be there is a kind of, I think, echo to these initiatives on such games that would be, I think, would be nice to send to you to have a look on it. But yes, it's not a question, but like, or maybe you would react on that. Maybe it rings the bell or something. But yes, yes, that's all.
Yeah. I personally really love different simulators because there are so many jobs that people love to do that are even funner if you gamify them. You know, you have only a few. I mean, you can do 10 jobs maybe in your life, but maybe you could play hundreds of games about doing different jobs. So it's a lot of fun for me. The next game that we're currently making, that is my baby one, is Craft. It's a joke about like games like Minecraft and Warcraft being having craft in their name, but this game is all about crafting actually. So it's not like a click a button to craft something. So the game is Crafts Fantasy Merchant Simulator. It's on Steam. It's not done yet, but you can wishlist it totally if you're interested in that. But yeah, it's all about making jewelry and armor, but actually cutting things, painting them, and putting them together. And the idea of that game came to me when I was watching some YouTube videos of people crafting things and getting the like satisfaction from watching people crafting. And then I saw the first comment under the one of the videos, and it said, "I wish I could do this, but I don't have the money or the time or the tools or the space." And then under that, there it had like 40,000 upvotes, and I was like, but what if you could do it in a video game? Because you really can't yet like glue things together and you know, I don't like violence in video games that much. I love when like the idea of being some sort of side character selling their crafts and being an artist in a very wholesome fantasy world. So yeah, I can post a link to that in also in the chat. Yeah, so it's that's the game I'm currently working on, and yeah, more wholesome a bit, but very shiny, very old timey, and I hope to have more people have a good time and maybe even get an interest through this for making crafts in the real life as well. Who knows? So yeah, that's the next thing that I'm working on as well.
What about Broken Alliance? I
Yes.
never quit.
The other
Yeah.
one is the other one that Oak Warrior, as you said, is the creative director. So I'm the art director on this. So I'm not overlooking any of the design or anything, but visual design, colors, all that is me. I made the trailers for all of the games as well because I love making trailers. So yeah, that is all me. But the idea and the background, everything else is Oak's game. But we're making both games with 2 teams because I don't know. All of our income is from the sales of our last game. I know it's not very usual to have only one stream of income, but we were able to make it. So yeah, we're making our next dream games now, and it's great. I love it. And we don't have to, I don't know. We just go on when they're done. We're gonna release them again. I'm just incredibly lucky to have the resources for it. And currently, I'm also living in. Everybody's working online as well. Mostly, we are not working in person with people. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna also ask, like, how'd you make it to Sweden? Like, how did those co-working spaces really work? I think Andreas was like trying to was setting one up in like here too.
Yeah, inspired by that one actually. He came to visit here as well. I can send you a link. It's the only one like it in the world actually, because there's a lot of co-working spaces, but there's no like co-living spaces actually. We live in the middle of a forest with a lot of game developers, very creative people, very inspiring. There's like also a kind of a school thingy in some ways, especially for. Anyways, I love this because international crowd, my kind of people. It's a lot of nerds making a lot of very inspiring things. Every Thursday we are showing off what we have been working on. Like people don't have to show off, but it's always nice to attend and see what everybody's up to. And I don't know, there's so many different things people are making it, and I love I love to live like this kind of, because I feel like it's like it's a cure for loneliness, a cure for making your thing alone, kind of. You know, in university you might have people around and all that, but after, when you finish and you're an adult, you're expected to go on and live with your family. Anyways, this place is like everybody can visit as well. It's totally fine to visit for a week or something. It's, you just have a chat with the house owner, but mostly he lets everybody in who wants to make games or something like that. So yeah, it's like a hotel, I would say, in a way, but we get food and everything that we need. It saves a lot of time, because I have been living almost 4 years here now. I do come to Estonia every like 2 months for a bit to visit people, and also doing my braces stuff in Estonia. But other than that, it's the best place to live, I think, for me, really. A lot of diverse people and learning from people like that, and I don't know, just I always sound like an ad, but for this place, but it's useful to have more people in here, because they're not good at advertising themselves that much. It's more like, I want this. If there's gonna be too little interest, then I'm gonna lose my home. You know, because it's only plausible if there's enough interest, and there's plenty of people who have been staying for years, and so it's nice.
Any more questions? Babette?
Okay.
Okay. So thank you very much, Leene.
Yeah. I hope it was something interesting or inspiring, at least.
Very. And good luck for your next upcoming games.
Thank you.
And yes.
Oh yeah, and you can always let's see. I'm usually on Discord, so if you find me on Discord, if you use it, that's the best place. I think that's my username on Discord. I'm gonna send my Twitter as well. So if you have any questions about anything, because we have no NDAs, I'm like, I can talk about anything. I can show you a contract that we use, or whichever is like, hey, I want. Anyways, I'm up for helping. I got some help from other people, and let's lift each other up. No, nobody's yeah, we should. There's plenty of there's plenty of people around who are like players and like play video games millions, trillions, but it's like there's room for everybody. Even if you're making a very similar game, not everybody is gonna see it. So it's better to punch up and as creators and network and all that. So you can keep in touch, and if there's any questions later, you can ask me.
Thank you very much. I think indeed very precious. Hope at least for the ones that are taking parts of game jams, and or some of the students from the previous semester, that maybe we sent the game to Amaze, but maybe you can send. Don't hesitate to send it to Leene. Maybe she would have feedbacks on it that would be interesting. And yes, let's keep in touch then.
Yes, totally. Okay.
Thank you.
For inviting. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.